It is Monday, December 29th. I worked 2 hours today just to use a little bit less PTO, finish everything that I have to do for the day basically, and then signed off of work. And it's been a pretty do nothing sort of day. Listened to a podcast for the majority of the day and did something mindless on my phone. Not usually a big phone game person, but I kind of have been a little bit lately. I don't know, I've been having a little bit of a hard time. Normally I would have had a ketamine appointment on Wednesday of last week, and I'm wondering if I made a mistake not doing ketamine anymore. The reason I did ketamine originally is because I couldn't get my nervous system to settle. I had all the coping mechanisms, I have all the tools, but I was always on. And so I did ketamine for just under 2 years. When I first started, I did it the normal amount. It's twice a week I think they do for 6 sessions. I ended up doing it for 9. And then I, for the most part, did every 4 weeks. Well, once a month. And then, well, no, hold on. At the beginning, I did every other week. And then I went to once a month. Eventually, I increased it in frequency more than I decreased it in frequency. Occasionally, I would go more frequent than for every 4 weeks, but generally, I was going every 4 weeks. And November was my last session, November 19th, maybe, something like that, I want to say. I don't know where that date's come from. I could be completely wrong. And I'm feeling it. I've always thought, like, maybe I could not go less than 4 weeks, but usually by week 3, I'm like, thank goodness ketamine is next week. And I wasn't thinking that because there was no next week ketamine. But kind of thinking, I don't know, I'm wondering if it was a mistake to stop going because my nervous system is on. I'm irritable. Yeah, mostly that. I'm extremely irritable. Every little thing just sets me off. I almost had a panic attack earlier because the dogs were barking at the window and I was just overstimulated. So the reason I stopped going to ketamine, I decided to stop, was I've had a few session infusions where I just kind of had this feeling, this sense of like, why am I even here? What am I doing here? And I would come out of the session just kind of feeling a little bit, you know, like why am I here? And I'd come out of the infusion feeling also a little like, did that even do anything? So that had been happening with more frequency. And I also started to feel like I was gonna get stuck in there. Some infusions, they felt like they just went on for the sake of going on almost. And I would just kind of get this sense of like, is this gonna end at some point? And so that had been happening. And so after the last session, at the very end of it, I just had a really like aggressive sense of, why are you here? What are you doing here? Why are we doing this? Why are we spending all this money on this? So I decided to listen to myself, and I stopped going. And now that we're a couple weeks past when I would normally go, or not even a couple weeks, a week, I'm feeling like maybe that was the wrong choice. Like, what if that was my ego? The ego is something that they talk about when you first start ketamine, that it's like tries to prevent you from kind of like giving in. It's been so long since they talked about it that I don't remember super well. But it was kind of like self-resistance to the drug. And now I'm wondering if that's what was screaming. Because I'm feeling overwhelmed and feeling it in my chest, even taking it out on the people around me. But I also think, like, of course I'm a little bit irritable. Christmas ended up being a lot for me. It ended up being a bit triggering with my mom and the way she was making me feel. And my brothers is generally as well. The sense of loneliness that I've had all season. So I don't want to go, part of me doesn't want to go back, crawling back to ketamine to prove a point. The other part of me wonders how much it costs to do psilocybin, because if it's cheaper, and it is also now illegal in Washington, and when I started ketamine, it wasn't. And I wonder if that drug might make me feel might help me in a different way. I don't know. I hate having to rely on drugs, but the traditional drugs didn't work for me either. And it just kind of ended up increasing and increasing, and I still have a never-ending sense of dread in my body, and it's just my resting place. I think it's been my resting place for a lot of my life, which is why I've always been in ebbs and flows, a little irritable and manic. I'm not even manic, really. I don't think I was really ever manic. But it is very hot and cold. Lorna came over on Saturday, and I'd been looking forward to it all week, especially after Christmas, just spending time with her and, you know, having somebody who cares about me unconditionally. And I was even pissy with her. I don't know how to, I feel like, I don't know. I've talked to Candace. She does cranial sacral massage, and it is supposed to help with your nervous system. She's moving clinics, and so she said that we'll start doing that once she figures out her schedule a little better, because she's moving in 2 weeks. So I'm hoping that we can start that as soon as possible, and that will help. Part of me is so afraid that it's not going to help. And then what? I don't know. I'm just feeling discouraged and not having ketamine as a fallback plan, as something to rely on, is concerning. I'm doubting myself, my choices, and I have been since I made the choice, because I didn't know how my body, how I was going to be able, how I was going to feel. I mean, but I should have known. I knew it was how I was going to feel. Every 3 to 4 weeks, I feel the same way. But I can't do ketamine every 3 to 4 weeks. So my biggest fear is that voice saying, why are we even here? What are we doing here? Was my ego. And it was abrasive this time, because like I was just about to make a breakthrough or something. That's my biggest fear. Is that the ego isn't something that just happens at the very beginning, but it's also something that's whispering in the back of your head, saying, why are you here? What are you doing this for? Is it really helping? I mean, yeah, you have it every 3 to 4 weeks, and it helps reset your nervous system. But is it only doing that? Is it only resetting the nervous system? And is that enough? Is it worth $350 a month for a quick nervous system reset? There's just a big what if in my head, saying, you were just about to make a breakthrough, and you listen to your ego, and now you're not going to make that breakthrough. And even if you go back to ketamine, you're going to have to do some catching up or something. It's a fear. It's my biggest fear. Just keep thinking about it lately. The last few days, haven't been sleeping well. When I sleep, staying up way too late, and it's just because I'm busy dissociating. As soon as I turn off the noise, my brain starts. My mom got me these Crayola twistable pens for Christmas. I'm coloring with them. And I have notes. I have feedback. They're mostly pretty good, great, exactly what you want them to be. But they're a little too waxy. Yeah, that's my biggest complaint. They're too waxy. They're too much like crayons. They need to be more like colored pencils. You have to press hard. on some of these. I don't know what to do for myself. I don't know how to settle my brain. When it's like this. There's a lot of overthinking and about everything, not even just this. Also, my body is so itchy. I've had hives for the last week. Nothing's changed. Absolutely nothing has changed. But I am so itchy everywhere. There's not a place almost that I'm not itchy or, in patches. Which is also overstimulating the fuck out of me. It's certainly not helping anything. I feel like everything's kind of happening at once. Feeling overly emotional about family. Overstimulated as fuck from these hives. I stopped going to ketamine. Mostly I'm just feeling overly emotional about family.